Welcome. Our subject is Joseph Rudyard Kipling, a prolific poet, novelist, and journalist. Born in Bombay, India, on December 30, 1865, Kipling was raised by his parents, John Lockwood Kipling, an English artist and teacher, and Alice Kipling, a Scottish woman. He spent his first 6 years in the vibrant, multilingual atmosphere of India, which he later termed the best years of his life. However, this period was abruptly interrupted when, at age 6, he and his sister were sent to England for schooling. Staying with a foster family, this proved to be a traumatic 6 years where he experienced brutality and neglect. This experience of displacement, caught between the Oriental effervescence of India and the Victorian rigor of England, cultivated in Kipling a deep need for an invariant system of morality. This quest for structure, which he often articulated in his fiction as the law, forms the foundation of his lifelong connection to the principles of Freemasonry. He quickly achieved renown upon returning to England, and in 1907, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, becoming the first English writer to receive this honor. The Nobel Committee specifically cited his power of observation, originality of imagination, virility of ideas, and remarkable talent for narration. Kipling's moral development was crystallized through his initiation into the craft. In 1886, at the age of 20, he was initiated into the Lodge of Hope and Perseverance No. 782 in Lahore, British India. This lodge experience provided a tangible model of universal brotherhood that contrasted sharply with the surrounding colonial society, which was often divided by caste and race. This lodge was a truly cosmopolitan and neutral territory. Its membership comprised men of various faiths and origins, who met on an equal footing. Kipling himself attested to this environment, stating he was entered by a member of the Brahmo Samaj, passed by a Mohammedan, and raised by an Englishman. The members included Saul the Aden Jew, Din Muhammad the draftsman, and Castro the Roman Catholic. Kipling captured this perfect fraternity 8 years later in his poem, The Mother Lodge, written 1894. He summarized the contrast between the rigid world outside and the sanctuary within. Outside, Sergeant. Sir. Salute. Salam. Inside, brother, and it doesn't do no harm. We met upon the level and we parted on the square. This experience ingrained in him the principle that the strength of the craft did not rely on good regalia, as he noted their lodge was old and bare. Instead, its power resided in ethical fidelity, but we knew the ancient landmarks, and we kept them to a hair. Kipling left the lodge after a brief period but never spoke of it distantly, honoring its spirit through his actions of temperance, duty, and self-control. He is best understood as a Mason of conduct. Kipling's translation of the craft's ethical foundation into public life is most clearly seen in the establishment of the Canadian engineering tradition. The impetus was a profound failure of integrity, the tragic collapse of the Quebec Bridge in 1907. This catastrophe killed 76 lives and was attributed to design flaws, inadequate oversight, and human arrogance. In response, Canadian mining engineer Professor Herbert Halton sought to establish a unifying ceremony for engineers. Halton wanted engineers to commit to upholding the highest ethical standards and developing a consciousness of the profession and its social significance. In October 1923, Halton reached out to the renowned author, Kipling, who responded positively. Kipling crafted the full text of the ritual of the calling of an engineer and provided a description of the iron ring. The first ceremony, where 6 engineers took the obligation, occurred in Montreal in 1925. The ritual, which remains a uniquely Canadian tradition, is administered by the Corporation of the Seven Wardens. The iron ring is worn on the little finger of the working hand as a constant, physical reminder of the solemn obligation. Kipling's instruction regarding the ring's design was significant. The early rings, and modern ones, possess deliberate facets or roughness. He emphasized this roughness, likening it to the unrefined character of young engineers. This deliberate design choice acts as a secular analog to the rough ashlar, reminding the engineer of their potential for error and the ongoing need for refinement. The obligation is a pledge, made upon their honor and cold iron, that they will not tolerate or pass, or participate in the passing of bad workmanship or faulty material. Kipling effectively leveraged ritual to impose a Masonic ethical covenant, integrity and humility, onto a secular profession. Kipling's definitive ethical philosophy is contained in his poem, If, written around 1895. The poem, subtitled A Father's Advice to His Son, functions as a Masonic path, detailing the requirements for self-mastery, courage, and perseverance. The poem instructs the reader to maintain self-control and temperance, demanding, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. It sets the standard for fortitude and emotional balance, instructing one to meet triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. This poem was inspired by Dr. Leander Starr Jameson, after the failed Jameson raid. In 1895, Dr. Leander Starr Jameson led a failed attempt to incite an uprising of British expatriates in Johannesburg against the Boer government of President Paul Kruger. This code, however, acquired a tragic resonance during the First World War. Kipling's only son, John Kipling, was killed in action at the Battle of Loos in France on September 27, 1915, at the age of 18. His body was never found. The loss devastated Kipling. As the poet who championed duty, he was forced to endure the ultimate test of his own ethical code. He channeled this grief into enduring public service, becoming deeply involved in the Imperial War Graves Commission. This was a tangible fulfillment of the poem's demand for perseverance. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Rudyard Kipling's enduring legacy is that of an architect of ethical systems. He was not a mason of pomp, but a mason of conduct. He utilized the two great Masonic tools that permeated his work, the level of equality and the square of integrity, to establish universal moral standards. From the cosmopolitan fraternity in Lahore to the accountability demanded by the Iron Ring, Kipling ensured that the principles of the craft were disseminated widely. He died in 1936, and his ashes were buried at the Poets' Corner in Westminster Abbey. The ultimate reward offered by his poem is not external success, but the achievement of moral character. We now conclude with a reading of the words of Brother Kipling.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.